Welcome to the final episode of The Richest Man in Babylon Summarized. We're discussing Chapter 10, The Luckiest Man in Babylon. The title alone is a great indication of what the message of this chapter is really all about. Because you read that and you're like, wait a minute, didn't we already talk about luck back in Chapter 4 with Meet the Goddess of Good Luck? And the answer is, kind of. Chapter 4 really was all about what is luck, how do we attract it to us, that kind of thing. And then, so you see this and you're like, oh, well, what's the difference? And you read through it and the word luck is like only addressed like twice. Twice does Sharu say he felt like he was the luckiest man in Babylon. But that's it. So what's the message here? And the message is that if you want to have good luck, work your butt off. That's the core message of this chapter, because chapter 10 is all about hard work. If you want to be successful, if you want to make it anywhere in life, if you want to build stout character, if you want to have the independent wealth that you desire, get to work and work hard. Not just work, but work hard and have good work ethic and love work and enjoy working hard and take pride in your work. That is what chapter 10 is all about. And chapter 10 is titled The Luckiest Man in Babylon. So it builds perfectly off of chapter 4, where we discussed and made clear that the book was teaching us that if you want luck, you have to go out and take it, because it will not come to you. And that's why this is titled The Luckiest Man in Babylon. I'm not going to spend much time into the summary of the story on this, because I think I did that in the last video summary, the chapter 10 summary. So we've got Sharu and we've got his god grandson, if you will, riding along. And this is all about, right, how do we treat hard work? How do we view hard work in our lives? There's a moment here where Sharu is contemplating in himself, having just had that conversation with Hadan on the road. He's wondering, how in the world do I get this kid to understand the lessons that I need him to know so that he can avoid the stupidity of his opinion, which is that work is bad. And there's this line here, it says, but how could he help such a superior youth with his spendthrift ideas and bejeweled hands? The word superior, I highlighted just that one word because it connotes a lack of humility. We need to be humble and recognize that there's always something out there that we don't know. There's always more to be learned. There's always situations that we don't have the answer for. Humility is one of our greatest tools. This does a really good job of just kind of reminding us, hey, calm down. You don't know everything. Seek counsel from those who know more than you do. It's been in every single chapter of this book. And that's true of whether you're young or old. If you're a 65-year-old, I guarantee you, there's somebody out there who knows more than you do, who has had experiences different than you, who has lived a life harder than you. There is wisdom out there that you can learn from somebody else. Just because you're old doesn't mean you know everything. And just because you're young doesn't mean you're stupid. Be humble and recognize, no matter where you are, that there is more to be learned. As Sharu begins his tale to Hadan about his youth, Sharu talks about how he basically got sold into slavery through no fault of his own. It had to do with some stupid decisions that some of his family members made. And Hadan says, what a shame and injustice. I think the author really wanted us to understand here that sometimes we get put in bad financial situations through no fault of our own. Maybe we're in a certain country where the market isn't as free as we would like it to be. Maybe your spouse left and took all the money with them. Maybe you got cancer and that took all of your money out of your situation. You had nothing to do with it. You had no control over it. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter why you don't have the money that you want. It doesn't matter what got you there. All that matters is how you're going to fix it. It's important to receive validation, talk to your friends and family, get the validation that you need so that people can hear you vent about how sucky your situation has been. That's important for people to hear that. But it's not going to fix anything. And don't wait for other people to fix it. Regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of your parents, regardless of your siblings, whatever your situation is, own it and get to work. That's what this chapter is talking about. That's why the author made the point that Sharu was sold into slavery through no fault of his own. The author is trying to tell you, hey, we get it. Life's not fair. Get to work. We shouldn't be looking for handouts. We shouldn't be looking for the government or for people or anybody else to come fix us. Nobody can fix you. Only you can fix you. And Sharu does that in the story of this chapter. And that's the lesson that he's trying to make sure that his god grandson, Hadan, learns. The easy way, not the hard way. Sometimes I hear really interesting stories about employees who go to great lengths to avoid doing their job. And I don't understand that. And that's exactly the point that Megiddo makes to Sharu. What's the point of you trying to avoid work? It's not going to do well for you. If you would spend as much time, energy, and effort into doing the actual job as you do into avoiding the actual job, you'd probably get promoted or get a pay raise. I don't understand why so many people refuse to work. Do the work, embrace the work, and do it cheerfully, and you're going to be rewarded. And that's exactly what happens to Sharu here. And I've seen that firsthand and secondhand in my life and the people around me who, when they were willing to buckle down and do some good, solid work, promotions and pay raises. Now again, this primarily only works in the free market. You have a governmental job, that may, like if you're in the army or something, that may not happen for you. If you're a teacher, that's probably not going to happen for you. That's a testament to the power of the free market versus socialism, fascism, communism, or any other ism where the government controls the marketplace. But in a free market, you work hard, you will excel. It may not be immediate, it may take time, but you stand out above the rest and you'll get promoted above the rest, generally speaking. So Megiddo is talking to Sharu, right? And he's telling him the necessity of promoting yourself as a hard worker. And the way we apply this into our lives is through like job interviews and that kind of thing, right? That's how I see this. I see this as like, hey, don't be afraid to work. When you go to a job interview, when you get hired, whenever you're presenting yourself to a potential employer, manifest your work ethic, which should be a grand thing. Your work ethic needs to be exemplary. So when people look at you, they go, now that guy, now that girl, they know how to work. That's the kind of person that an employer wants to hire. You have that attitude, you're going to get more jobs. You're going to get better hours. You're going to get better placements. You're going to do better financially. As is evidenced in this story, because Sharu took that advice from Megiddo, applied it, embraced hard work, and he wound up excelling and joining his friend in a business venture. They became free and very profitable men. Now, granted, this is a story, but the principles are there, and they're true. Work hard, free yourself from your financial slavery, and reap the rewards of your hard work. Some men hate work. They make it their enemy. Better to treat it like a friend. Make thyself to like it. Don't mind it because it is hard. If thou thinkest about what a good house thou build, then who cares if the beams are heavy? In other words, who cares if it's hard to build a pretty house? Once you're done, you have a lovely house. It's kind of the analogy he's going with here. Who cares if it takes a lot of work? If it's hard to do the job that you're doing? If at the end, you're financially independent, you're financially stable, you get to retire and live wealthily, so forth and so on. This chapter also does a great job talking about the necessity of networking, right? So networking is the process of you going out and forming meaningful relationships and connections with people in the same career field as you. Well, that's exactly what Sharu does, because Sharu, right, he was a slave and he's in the situation of being a baker for this guy that bought him. And as he's out and about selling his wares or selling his pastries, he connects with some other people that are also merchants, also trying to make some extra money, and he forms meaningful relationships with them. It's only in here briefly, but it talks about how he would spend an hour or more or hours a day talking with this person. That's what we call making friends. That's what we call networking. And it was that friend, Arad, that wound up buying Sharu his freedom in the end. Had Sharu battened down the hatches and been woe is me and not cheerful and didn't want to talk to anybody and not networked, he never would have met Arad, and Arad never would have been able to buy his freedom. We have to be willing to form meaningful relationships and connections with the people around us in our work field, in our career field, and etc. The more friends we make, the more people there are that can help us. How do we make friends? You help them. You helping other people is a great way to get other people to help you. Towards the end of the chapter here, after Sharu has given his story of how he and Hadan's grandfather Arad bought their freedom and became wealthy and respectable men. Hadan says, "I begin to see. Work attracted his many friends who admired his industry and the success it brought. Work brought him the honors he enjoyed so much in Damascus. Work brought him all those things I have approved, and I thought work was only for the slaves." The things that you want in life, you can attain, more often than not, through work. Not through the government subsidies, not through this, that, or the other thing. Work. Just get to work. It may be hard. That's kind of the point. Work builds character. But if you learn to embrace work, learn to embrace the effort, take pride in it, then that pride and that confidence and that joy will radiate outwards, and people will want that in their company. They'll want that in their business. Every employer wants hardworking, diligent, and cheerful employees. Every employer wants that. So be one, and you will get hired, and you'll get promoted, and you'll be successful, and you'll make that money that you so desperately need and want, and you'll be happy doing it. Thus concludes the discussion of Chapter 10 of The Richest Man in Babylon, The Luckiest Man in Babylon. That is the final chapter. Thank you so much for watching this series, and I hope you've enjoyed the book as much as I did. I have many other videos on this channel I would invite you to come watch. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching again, and good luck.